Welcome to another exciting episode of Drizzly's Low-Key Valheim. We're naked, alone, and mapless. This is day 3, and again, no map, which makes things very slow. So let's get started with day 3, but let's start with a summary of day 2. We had our first raid the morning of day 2. We got ourselves a crude bow on day 2, and we got ourselves a full set of deer leather armor on day 2. So it was a pretty productive day 2. Today we're spending our time getting familiar with our landscape, because it's going to be important to recognize where we actually are, so we can find our way back, of course, which is the number one concern, which is why I usually play a whole bunch of worlds at once. I'm trying to dedicate myself to focus on this one, and it's also why we drop benchmarks around. I like to build we don't have any rocks. I like to build a fire in those things to prevent skeletons from spawning, but also they burn longer than a torch, and if they're in those cairns, they stay lit during the rain, and they prove to be effective navigation aids. So wouldn't recommend sleeping in them because they get smoked out pretty well, but they are very useful in terms of navigation and in terms of keeping skeletons from crunching it. I see some boars here. I see some 1-star boars, 2 1-star boars, and I like to save those for farming later, any starred boars. So I don't want to kill them, so I'm just going to try to pick off some of these regular boars, because we still need some boar hide. Even though we have a bow, we want to upgrade our workbench again, so we can continue the never-ending task of upgrading our equipment. Boom, gotcha. Okay, so stop off the shore and talk about the mushrooms. So the mushrooms, when they're a little farther away from home, I like to make them highly visible so that I can find them if I happen to be running by. And that it means, first of all, getting rid of a lot of the things that are going to obstruct my view of them, like the trees and the brush, and also mashing down the grass, but also building a hole, right? Because you can usually see that. I don't bother lighting a torch, because most likely it's going to be burnt out by the time you get back. But the poles are visible from quite a ways away. They look quite different even from a distance from a tree. This is our chance to get fine wood, right? Opportunity to get fine wood without having a bronze axe. And so just bear with me while I show you. So the rule here is that if a tree falls, right, and it's down here like a log, and it hits like a stump or a tree, only the stump or the tree takes damage. However, if it hits a log that's already down, both logs take damage. So banging a log against another log is a fine way to break it up. And this includes the fine wood, right? So if you watch these little damages, you'll see there's 2 damage numbers coming up. Well, maybe you won't because I'm going too fast, but trust me, there are 2 damage numbers. And you see the posts I put in, those were to keep things from going in the water again, right? So don't be afraid to use posts. You can use them as levers to turn the logs around. You can use them to keep things from falling too far or from squishing you. The birches are particularly hard to avoid running over because they're just often so small. I'm going to push this closer so that we can ram this log against it. We have a little friction here. If you control the friction, it's easier to push them, right? So there's a lot of things in the physics of this game that are kind of intuitive that you don't expect in a game. Reducing friction is one of them. Gravity is another. Okay, so we have 13 Finewood now, which we only need 10 to make a Finewood bow. So we are looking like we're going to have a Finewood bow pretty soon. We're just going to need some core wood from the Black Forest. And we can also find those in those little lean-tos that are littered throughout the meadows from time to time. I thought we would be already back home by now, but I guess there's a little extra draw. Okay, so that's our lake. Well, there's another. This is our lake that our house is on. You can see our torch and fire right over there. So we are almost home now then, and it means, you know, the other side of the water that we saw when we were flying in is closer than I thought to our home. But this area back by the end of the lake is farther from the main body of water than I anticipated. So we are in the late afternoon of day 3 now. We have not had a raid, probably because we haven't been home maybe. But we'll take care of some things. I think we'll wind out the day with a little bit of hunting. And then we'll plan on going over to the Black Forest that's across the bay from us to try to find some core wood so we can turn this wonderful, wonderful fine wood into a lovely fine wood bow, which is more accurate. The arrows seem to fly faster. And yeah, see, speaking of accuracy, speaking of accuracy, anyway, yeah, so I will make a fun. Did I say speaking of accuracy? So we'll go tomorrow. We'll go over after we gather up this meat and look at all those boars. We'll go over to the Black Forest and try to gather some core wood without dying, and maybe find a few other things that we can't find in the meadows. Again, this is a different kind of gameplay for me because I usually am already trying to get a troll to smash my metals for me at this point. But we're not there yet. We're moving slow. We're moving slow today. And this is about to end the day. We feel cold already. So what we did today, our major accomplishment was getting fine wood and getting a little extra familiarity with the ground. The ground around us, the geography around us, the cartography around us. Cartography is what we do with information about the ground. And now our major accomplishment is that we have a tier 3 workbench, which is a good thing to have because we can upgrade our bows when we get them. So ends day 3. And welcome to day 4. A day full of promise and goals. Core wood is our goal today. And oh, here we go. We got a raid early day 4. So this is this early day 4. And we are looking at our second raid. So the thing I think is exciting about these, we're not so much afraid of dying from the hands of a boar like we were in the first one. The hands of the claws of a boar, tusks of a boar. But just becoming aware of the frequency with which these raids are going to occur with the setting at much more frequent raids. And apparently they're going to be quite frequent, and so we can prepare for this being problematic when the raids are going to be tougher. But for now, let's just look at this as excellent resources. I mean, there's no bad resources, but these are basically free resources that come to us. which makes them even better. So a little bit of food management here. We've got plenty of meat, both boar and deer. We've got some raspberries. Remember I called that a benchmark compass? You notice how I'm carrying like a to-make-a piece out there? It's constantly pointing south to me. As long as I don't rotate my workbench stuff, that thing is going to point south. That means when I'm on the other side of it, it's going to be pointing, yeah, beware, boy, bearware. Always be bearware, especially now. But when I'm on the other side of that thing, it'll point me south or north, which will help me find my way home. And that didn't kill him. Oh, he's a 1-star. Okay. So we'll go round and round. Oh, yeah. So even blocking the 1-star, we still took a significant amount of damage from the. We had a good parry, but we were staggered and hurt. So we don't want to mess with too many of those. Looking for nope, not there. Looking for no box. Neither of those have a box, a door. So there's no way to have a mysterious axe head. Looking at that azimuth that I was shooting to the north, my perception of north was about 30 degrees off already. Just noting how easy it is to lose your sense of direction. That was a 1-star skeleton that killed that. The Black Forest is so scary. That was a 1-star skeleton that killed the boar. And if we can't handle, well, if we have a hard time with a 1-star dwarf, we're gonna have a really hard time with a 1-star skeleton. So we'll go down here and we'll chop a tree that's not there to get some core wood, so we can make that wonderful Finewood Bow. Big improvement in terms of accuracy. Ooh, 43.9, and I blocked it. Can you imagine what that 1-star would have done to me? Yeah, so we're going to lead him to the bear. We're going to lead him to the bear and let the bear take him out. Except the Grey Dwarves took him out first with rocks, of all things. Suggesting that the rocks do an awful lot of damage. So try to avoid being hit by them, which we're not doing very well at, because they're all throwing at different times, which makes it hard to pace your attacks between them. So make a spare torch, because our torch is already broken. Means we have to run straight, so try to do that after they start throwing. And here is what I did was I pulled them all up here to get them together, and then I start sprinting this way to try to get out of their range, so that when they all get in range at the same time, and they would all start throwing at the same time, synchronize their tosses, if you will. And by synchronizing their tosses, they're easier to evade, because you evade them and then you turn around and smack them. I didn't do a very perfect job of synchronizing their throws, but it helped. It was enough that it helped a lot. And we were able to take them down. And now, while we're over here, we want to go back and get the wood of the tree that we chopped down, because we want that core wood desperately. It's the whole reason we're here right now. There it is. And chop, 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 chop. And we've got core wood, and it's telling us we now know how to make the Finewood Bow, and the dwarves found us again. They're throwing rocks at us. But I think there's only 2 this time. So, yeah, only 2. So turn around, smack, smack, smack. There's no stars involved. And finish them. Finish them. Okay, so there's a shaman underneath him. I saw his little green eyes, so I'm going to try to hit the shaman. And I've got the bear instead of the shaman, which, I mean, I probably should have foreseen that. So, we set our fire pit right underneath him and set him ablaze, which was nice. When they get confused by the fire and stuck in a tree, it's good to get as many hits on them as you can. The shaman, I'm kind of afraid of his poison. I usually ignore it at first, but if I'm well fed. But I think on this combat setting, they can do a lot of damage over time with the poison, and it can be detrimental. So still beating on the bear. Daylight is waning, but he's been healed twice from the shaman, so he's not down to even half yet, even though we got a lot of hits on. I'm going to repair the fire, build a little obstacle that's going to help us avoid the bear. I probably should have made a little fortress to avoid the bear, but that wasn't my primary objective. So I wanted to see if he was afraid of that torch, and he is not afraid of torches apparently. So torches are not going to help us. Fire, being on fire isn't going to help us either. Torches are not going to help us keep him at bay. So trying to get in here for a hit. Why is this going slow? Because one paw hit did 39.4 hit points. Youch, right? 2 hits like that, and it's all over. The Cinderella story is all over. But we'll strive to get him down. He's half dead. It's nighttime. It's probably not the wisest thing to keep going. Once we get cold, we're going to have stamina issues. And we are cold now if we're out away from the fire. We're going to have stamina issues. We don't have a rested bonus. Grey dwarves, including shamans and brutes, might get involved because we're making some racket out here, so close to the Black Forest. So we're going to call it a night and run home. And take the long way because I'm not sure if I could go across the middle of that little bay. We'll take a little run home. I think I need to put some more lights out here so I can see a little better. We could have totally run across that bay. I just forgot. And get some more feathers because we're going to need to make more fire arrows for sure. And now, take a moment to breathe. We survived our first meeting with the bear. We survived our first meeting with the skeleton. We survived our first meeting with grey dwarves, including a 1-star. And now we have all the materials necessary to make our Finewood Bow. The only thing we don't have is an empty slot in our inventory. And now we make our Finewood Bow. And so that's an achievement. We can get back onto our do some inventory management, stash the extra wood we have. We only have 3 fine wood. We have plenty of core wood for now. But if we had 2 more fine wood, we'd be able to upgrade that fine wood bow, which would be nice. And so ends day 4. I don't know, it appears that I have some insomnia, but we'll get to sleep eventually, I'm sure of it. Be sure to join us for day 5, when we will take on the bear. Sure to be an exciting, action-packed episode, and hopefully we'll get some nice leathers. Be sure to join us for day 5, and thanks for watching. Give me a like if you can, so I know that you're watching. Give me a comment if you can, so I can add things to my content. Thanks a lot. See you next time. Bye-bye.